Today on Jolene's Books and Writers Talk podcast, we are going to be speaking with award-winning author Lana McAra. We hope you will like, subscribe, and comment to our podcast wherever it is you have found it. Anyone in the book writing and publishing business who would like to participate in our show, please visit our website, southerndragonpublishing.com. Fill out the form online and we will get you scheduled. Lana McAra is celebrated for her captivating historical cozy mystery series. She is the current president of Northeast Florida Sisters in Crime chapter and serves as a coordinator for the monthly writers workshop called Writers Inc. in the Live Oak Library in Florida. Lana's commitment to the writing community extends beyond her novels as she actively mentors aspiring authors. Her book, Write Better While Writing Faster, offers practical guidance including worksheets and a sample book proposal. With her extensive involvement in local and national writing organizations, Lana continues to inspire and support her fellow writers. Visit her website at lanamacara.com. Today, we're going to be talking about her writing journey, her advice for up-and-coming writers, and a few other subjects. Welcome, Lana.
Hello, my name is Lana McAra, and I am a published author of 45 titles, author and ghostwriter, 45 titles, with 1 million copies sold. I won the Christie Award in 2001, and I earn a living as a professional ghostwriter. I am still a novelist. I just got my first novel out last year after a hiatus for ghostwriting, which I'm very excited about. So I'm a teacher of fiction craft. I'm also an editor and a book coach. So I live in the writing world. This is my life. This is how I earn a living. And I've been doing this for a very long time. And I'm starting to not want to actually tell how long it's been. I'm getting to that point.
Yes,
Been a lot.
new alpha kids don't understand.
I'm so happy to be with you today. Thank you.
Okay, so this book you just published or in the process of publishing?
It came out last year.
Oh, last year. Okay, cool. And what was its name again? I'm sorry.
It's called The Englewood Medium, Shaken but Not Stirred.
Oh, yes, I've seen that cover on Facebook. What made you want to write that particular book?
Oh, that was on my desk for 5 years before I actually had time, but thank you, COVID, for time to write my own material. I put up a storyboard with these 6 women's faces on it. It's an ensemble book with these 6 women who belong to this meditation group. They meet once a week at the back of a bookstore for meditation and sharing. Then sometimes they have lunch together and all this. And that came from a group that I was hosting at my home, where 6 women would come once a month and we would have that kind of fellowship in my home. And I love those women so much. And then I moved away and I thought, I'm going to write a book with 6 women. Now, the 6 women in the book are not correlating to the people in my life, but yet it was the same kind of thing where we got together and talked and shared. So that was one piece of it. And then I had a stalker. In 2014, I had a stalker and I was in court in the whole thing. And it was a reign of terror that lasted for 2 years of my life, from 2014 to 2016. And so I took that idea of a stalker and I made that the main mystery in the book. There is a murder also, and it's unsure for the book, most of the book, whether the murder is related to the stalker or not. And so they're paralleling. So that was where I got the idea for that, that story. Because I am a mystery writer, and before I got a divorce in 2009, I had written more than 25 mystery novels, and that was my home. That's what I did in my happy place. But then when I had to earn a living, I went into these other areas of writing, and I didn't have time because I was working. I didn't have time for my own material. So eventually I did have the time, and I put that book together in 2019, 2020, and then it came out last year in 2023. So it's on Amazon and all the other places. And I'm excited. I've got book two all all outlined and ready to go, but I'm looking for that other block of time to
Ah,
get book two done.
okay. So this is going to be a series.
Yes, the Englewood medium is the main character. And then the first one is Shaken but Not Stirred. The second one is called Bent but Not Broken.
All right. Who would you say would be your main influence as far as your mystery writing goes?
Oh, this goes way back in the day. So you'll have to do a little historical looking. But Emily Loring was a very popular writer back in the 1940s and 50s. She was a World War II era writer, and she was contemporary during that day, but I didn't find her books until the 60s and 70s. But she always wrote a romance with a mystery. And when I caught on to her, and her name is Emily, Emelie
Okay.
Loring, I realized how much I love that combo, the mystery, the romance with the mystery. And so when I started writing my own material in the 1980s and 90s, I took a page out of her book with the romance and the mystery. So I'm not as heavy on the romance. I'm more focused on the mystery with the romance. So it would be more like mystery slash romance. And I write squeaky clean romance, in case anybody's wondering, because when you say romance, a whole host of things can come up in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
But I write clean romance with cozy mystery.
It's more like a closed door romance. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So were you traditionally published during the 80s then?
Oh, yes. I was published with Barber Publishing in Earksville, Ohio. And my first book came out in 1996. And after that, they took everything I published. I was a reader's favorite the first year. And once all the fan mail started pouring in, I literally, my dining room table was covered with mail that came in from them. We'd dump the package out on the table, and my kids would be so ecstatic. Look what this one said. Look what that one said. It was a fun time in our family. So as soon as I would have an idea, I'd write them an outline, a synopsis, and they would contract and publish left and right, two a year, sometimes three books in one year. They took my first series and bundled it into one volume, four books in one volume, and put that out to trade paperback, which was in Walmart.
Cool.
Internationally. That collection sold 250,000 copies over a period of 2 years. So my publisher was very open, and they started contacting me. We've got an idea for a book about this. Do you think you would like to write it? Kind of thing. And sometimes I would say yes, and sometimes I would say no, because I knew that I have to be in integrity with myself. And if something that they had their idea didn't really match with what I was about, then I couldn't do a good job. So I wouldn't accept it. But yeah. And that went on until I got a divorce. And at that time in 2009, I couldn't write. I could not put my hands on the keyboard. I was completely shut down. I was emotionally wrecked. And I didn't write anything for anyone for any reason for 5 years. And then I started to dabble in writing for other people. I wrote LinkedIn profiles. I wrote some other small things like that. And then in 2012, I met someone who had an agency that connects ghostwriters with clients. And then I started working for her. And as a freelancer, not an employee, but still, she would send me work. I started ghostwriting books for other people. I could write their ideas. I just didn't have my own yet. So part of that was I was finding my new voice because the divorce was such a major event in my life. It was so life changing. I actually changed my name in 2011. It was 4 changes. And I had to find out, who am I now? and before I could even begin to write my own material again. So that was part of my evolution. And I filled in the gap with writing for other people in the meantime. I could do that.
Okay. So your other mystery books, are they now in your purview where you can do a backlist republishing?
Oh, that's such a good question. The books that I had with Barber Publishing were traditionally published and they belonged to them. I did not have access to them for years, and they went out of print eventually. All books do. And I was really troubled because people would say to me, I want to get your books. Where are your books? They're out of print. I haven't written anything for 10 years and they're all back there, and the publisher's not releasing them anymore, but they won't give me back my rights. And I did last year, got back my rights to 8 books. And I'm in the process now of putting them together. I'm updating, and some of them were novellas, and I'm expanding them into full novels. So I'm working with them. I've got 2 left to do. I've got 6 of them done, 2 left to go. And when I'm complete with that, I'm going to release that as a series. It's going to be called the Cowboy Romance series. They're all set in the Old West. I wrote Westerns, Western mystery novels.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay. That's great. Any news on whether you're going to get the other 13, 14?
probably not. I don't have a lot of hopes on them. Some of them were contracted as work for hire,
Oh, okay. I
and
got
the work for hire books they are not releasing back to me. Yeah, so I don't think I will, but that's okay. I'm a new person now. I'm starting over. I've got my mojo back, and so get ready.
yeah. For digital marketing perspective, it's always nice to have a backlist that you
Yes,
play with and give people in while they're waiting for your new stuff to come out. In
yeah,
between, it's just a good marketing tool.
yeah, absolutely. If you go to Amazon and put in Rosie Dow, that's my old name, you'll find those old books. There's 32 of them, I believe, on Amazon, but they're out of print. You'll have to go to the used section to find a used book, which you could do. I mean, that's okay. But I don't have access to those titles myself.
But your new one, you made sure you did.
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
own the rights to all my books now. Reaping the Whirlwind is one that came out last year as well, but it's a reprint of my Christie winner. That was with a different publisher, and that publisher went out of business. And that's how it fell in the cracks. When the publisher went out of business, I did get the rights back for that, which I had the rights. That was a hybrid publisher, and I had the rights to that one, but I couldn't get my way clear to republish it. And I finally did get Morgan James re-released that last year. So it's back. And of course, I have my rights to that one still. I wasn't about to give them up. As a matter of fact, they put the manuscript through AI. When I submitted it, they put the manuscript through AI to analyze how good is it. And they came back and said, you have too much dialogue. According to AI, you have too much dialogue. I said to them, that book won the Christie Award. I am not changing a single word, nothing about it. Either you will print it as it is or you will not print it. And so they did. And it's available now. You go to Amazon, the Reaping the Whirlwind. And again, my old name by Rosie Dow is available. So that is such a blessing to me because for all those years, I did not have access to my book, my Christie winner. Nobody was able to read it. My credentials are in that book. And now it's available again. So I am just thrilled and so grateful to Morgan James for publishing it for me again.
Okay. The question I ask all writers, whether they're new or old or established or whatever, is have you made a plan for your copyrights after you're gone? Because we have 70 years if you registered with the Copyright Office, which I encourage all authors to do, because it gives you that certificate and it's inheritable. Have you made your plan? And is it straight inheritance, or are you setting up a trust?
Wow, that's a
20
good
years is a
question.
long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I was just driving home 2 days ago and thinking, and I think maybe this is God telling me I need to get on it. I was thinking about that because my daughter said, Mom, you need to have a will. Do you have a will? When I did sign up with Legal Shield to get a will done, but I haven't done it yet. And one of the things that has been on my mind is how to handle my book contracts, and that I have 7 children. And yeah, there's a lot of questions in my mind about how that could work. So thank you for the reminder. I have it on my mind.
Okay.
I haven't done it yet. Yeah, but before those 8 books come back out, that will be one thing that is definitely settled.
Yeah. I'm still working on getting the entertainment lawyer and the estate planner together to do
Mhm.
a series of talks or something. And I think I have a lady in Orlando, and I know you've got an attorney in South Florida somewhere.
Yes,
Just
around
need to find
Miami
an
area.
estate planner that's familiar with authoring to be able to advise us what is the best way to do that, because quite a few of my contemporaries don't really have any family left, or the family they have is not really interested in wrangling books.
Hmm.
But if you're a popular author and your stories are popular, every 10 years you can recycle them to new generations. And
Yes.
it may not be a lot of money. It could be.
Yes, that's what I was wanting the publisher to think about. If this book was that popular in the early 2000s, 20 years has gone by. Why aren't you? It's historical stuff. It's not going to change.
That's cool. I just wanted to make sure I
Thank
asked
you for that.
everybody. And I also asked about the AI, but I think you've already answered that question. What do you think about using AI in book covers and your writing? How much or how little are you comfortable with, if any?
That is a really good question. That's coming up so much. And my idea with AI is it's a very good research tool and it comes up with good ideas. Like I put into Chat GPT, where would I find my target market for this type of book that I'm writing? And it gave me, and I gave it a number, give me 15 places to look for my target market for this specific book. And I got some really good information
Cool.
from that, some good ideas. So it's a good idea generator, but it is terrible at writing text copy, such as a book or an article. You can get good information from ChatGPT, but it is very robotic, uninteresting kind of words that come out of there. I'm sure they'll refine it over time, but I have a friend who joined a subscription to get book reviews by reading other people's books and trading books. And she said that some of the books on the list were AI generated and they were so horrible she couldn't even complete them. People just plug in books and say, write it like Stephen King.
Mhm.
And then this monster pops out. So, not yet on the writing with AI, but as far as research and also ideas for marketing, the covers, the art that's coming out of AI, if you know how to use it, if you
Right.
know how to manipulate the images. I have a friend, Julia Steggy. She is amazing with AI art because she knows how to move it and highlight this and take this back. She's an artist and she's familiar with the software for doing that. And she comes with beautiful images and covers. But the average person wouldn't be able to do that because she's manipulating that for hours. She may spend 10 hours on one image, one cover image, because it is so detailed. But we, average person who is not an artist, we're not going to be able to do that. So it's, yes, good in some ways, but don't expect it to be like the old time Jetson cartoon where you punch a button and a pill pops out and you add water and you got a steak dinner. That's not how it works at this point.
I usually do the same thing with research and help to understand problems and stuff like that. The other thing that I find that AI is good for me, it is outlining.
Hmm.
I give a detailed brain dump of what I want and to begin and end and the characters, and then it'll help me form an outline, and then I just do the middle part, actually do all the rest, which it's pretty good with that one. And if you don't like
I've
what
heard
you
of,
see, just take it off and do something else.
yeah, I've heard of people loading their book text in and asking AI, what is the main message of my book? I find that interesting because I don't usually write a book unless I know the main message already. But maybe they're trying to check to make sure that they are saying what they want to say
Yeah.
and double checking themselves with it. But I don't know. I'm not sure about loading my whole book to one of them.
What else would you like to talk about as far as reaching new readers at this particular point?
Reaching the readers. My new books have a paranormal flavor. I've had people calling me out that it's not paranormal enough. I don't like spooky stuff. I don't write spooky, but I do have a ghost in the Englewood Medium. That's why it's called the Englewood Medium, because there's a ghost that shows up in her house, full body, and there's no Ebenezer Scrooge kind of stuff going on at all. It's actually comedic sometimes with the situations that happen with this ghost popping in and out. Can you give me a little privacy for a minute? Kind of thing. I do it with a lighthearted tone because I like that. I like suspense. I like freaking out because somebody did something scary. Somebody threw a brick through the car window or whatever. But I also like to laugh and I like to keep it fairly light. I want the intrigue and curiosity of who did it to be the primary thing that pushes the story forward rather than scary stuff. That's basically how I treat it. And I am heavy on character because I love the nuances of interaction of characters with people that become very real to me as a writer. They're very real. Those six women, I know them. I know them like I know my friends. And the reader does too as the stories move on. And then each book has a focus on a different person. The main character stays the same, but there's different people with different mysteries in their lives. It's a small town setting and it reveals the town as it goes by. So that's really what I'm about. I call it transformational fiction because the characters learn something. It's not heavy on morality or anything like that, but just I use an example in my teaching about You've Got Mail. The theme of that book is everybody has their own purpose in life. You can't live in someone else's shadow. You have to have your own purpose. And so that is something that the characters learn through the story. They learn they need their own purpose and they find their own purpose by the end of it without being heavy and preachy with the message. But it does give you something to take away at the end as well as telling a story, a good story.
Do you send your stories out to an editor or trade services with an editor?
I have beta readers,
Okay.
and most of my beta readers are also writers. And so they will give me feedback about things I missed. That's my biggest problem is things I missed. I could miss, a word where there's a word missing, but also, what about this character? What about this or that about the character? And oh, I forgot to put that in. I had it in my head. It didn't get into the book. So that's really what beta readers are great for. And so I polish the manuscript myself. But I always tell people, I tell all writers, you need an editor, you need other people to look at your book because you don't see what you don't see. And by the time you go through a book 5, 6 times, your brain has totally checked out on the details. And you need someone to help you with that. And there's no mystery about it. We just need each other. That's all there is to it.
I know that you believe in writers groups because you are a member and run several yourself. For newbie writers, what would you suggest about that?
Oh, yes. Find a group that actually does teaching. it's good to have a group of peers where everyone's a new writer and everyone helps each other. And that's extremely helpful when you have someone in the group that's already published a book and put it on Amazon. That's great because they can tell you what it takes to get it done and put it on Amazon. But it's also really important to have someone who's in the industry to give you a heads up. Here's how it works in the industry. Here's how it works with the publishers so that you can bring your work up a level to match the criteria of what is a professional quality book. That doesn't mean you have to publish with a publisher. You can still put it on Amazon, but you're delivering a better quality product than you would have if you had just done it on your own. And the surprising fact that most people don't know is that you can't learn what I'm talking about in English class. You can't even learn it in a creative writing class in school because they don't teach the same things. And I learned, of course, I was an English teacher. That's what I went to college for. So I had the grammar and all that, but I never learned how to write a good story, a good novel until I got out of college. And then when I got a job with a publishing company as an editor and a book coach, I discovered that they have a checklist and criteria that I had never seen before in all of my English studies. And it was mind blowing to me that some of this stuff the average writer has no access to. It's almost like a trade secret with the publishing companies, the traditional people. They have this kind of insider information, and it is the kind of thing where once they look at a manuscript, they can immediately tell if this person is a professional or not. And they're looking for a reason to reject. So if you don't know and you send something in that is not formatted properly or has some of these pet peeve mistakes that they have, you're going to out yourself right away. And they're not even going to look at the story. They're just going to pitch it and move on. That's one of the reasons it's hard for people to get published traditionally. The only other thing you can do besides having classes and learning from someone to teach you this is to hire a professional level editor. And they cost money. You know, we're talking about thousands of dollars for those people because they are at that quality level that could get you in with a publisher as a professional writer to meet all the criteria. Yes, find someone to teach you how the pros do it. There's a reason why the books coming out of Penguin, Simon and Schuster, and those kind of things, they feel different. They sound different. They have a different quality to them, and you might not be able to put your finger on it. But there's a reason for that. There's a criteria for that. And it's important that you know about that if you're going to move forward as a career in publishing.
Very good. And as a author, even a traditionally published author, what kinds of things have worked for you as far as digital marketing and social media? What are your top three things that work for you?
That is a really great question. I resisted social media for many years. I think I joined Facebook in 2007, but I didn't really use it much until 2012. I was a lurker. So yeah, I resisted. I've only been on Instagram maybe 2 years. I'm a slow adapter, a slow adopter. But it is very important. The one thing to do as a writer is to stay in touch with your readers. Encourage your readers to get on your social media. I do that with something that I hand out when people buy from me at a table, book table. Also posting my social media links on my website visibly so that people know you can go over here and get more. And then put things up there. It doesn't have to be what you ate for breakfast. You could talk about, I just got this really great book idea and I think I'm going to do it. And you just give like a general overview. It's about a girl who had a stalker and she doesn't know who it is. That's enough. You don't want to give away everything. But at the same time, people like to stay in touch. They like to find out what you're up to and where you are. And I have found that Facebook Lives get a lot of views. I have been shocked at how much. We have a local group here called Read Local, where we go to local businesses and set up book tables, almost pop-up book shows. And whenever we do a Facebook Live, it gets hundreds of views. And the posts themselves may get 35 or 50, but a Facebook Live gets a ton of views. So do more Facebook Lives, even if you're just outside and you do a little thing. Oh, I got this great idea, or I went over here. I'm going to be at this book show next week. Come on out and say hello. Those kind of things to stay in touch with people in a real setting. And one of the hardest things for me, because I am in the professional world, and I have a studio and all that, is that I'm out there looking at the sun is shining in my face and my hair is blowing all over and I'm trying to get the camera right. It's awkward. It's not showing me in the best light. And it's hard for me to go ahead and publish that because it's not quote unquote professional, but
It's real.
you don't need to be perfect.
I try to encourage more people to just delve into it and have fun with it because, one, your readers want to know that you're still alive. That's helpful. And even if you just post once a month, yeah, she's still alive. We're going to get another book,
Yes.
kind of thing. Because I've found a couple of writers that haven't posted, and I understand because we've had hurricanes and COVID and all this other stuff. But if you're in a business, you have to make the effort, even if it's just to say, hey, I'm alive. This is my cat, or this is my dog. I just started a garden, something like that. So, anyway, okay. Your writing group, the Writers Inc., that is at the library. I believe you meet at the library. Do you find that our local libraries are really helpful for local authors?
In this area, the libraries are outstanding. They are amazing. The Live Oak Library is the best library I have ever been involved with. And I've spoken at several libraries in various parts of the country. But Live Oak is got amazing staff and open door for writers. Yes. And the Mayo Library as well is really good. And we have the Writers Inc. meets at the Mayo Library every Tuesday morning, Mayo, Florida, and at the Live Oak, Florida Library the first Friday of the month. The first Friday of the month at 10 o'clock, I teach a class on writing craft or marketing, one or the other. And we go for 2 hours from 10 to noon. Most of the time, I'll spend an hour to maybe 90 minutes teaching. And then we have questions and discussion. Sometimes I take work. People will send me their work beforehand and I'll put it up on the big screen and we'll talk about various aspects of it. It's a teaching class. So I love teaching. That is one part of my calling. And so I'm just delighted that I was able to go into the Live Oak Library. They already had the Writers Inc. set up there, but the teacher got sick and she wasn't able to teach the class. And someone said, why don't you do it? And I thought, I don't know if I have time. I do a few things during the week. And I found out it was only once a month and that I could use, because I have a writing course, I could use segments of my writing course. So I didn't have to really make new lesson plans or anything. And it's a wonderful group of people. We have 10, 15 people there pretty faithfully. It varies, but pretty faithfully. We have a group and we have such wonderful conversations in the room and ideas and sharing, and friendships have come out of that. And then one of our attendees, one of the people in the group, Lynn Hutchins, she got the idea for doing pop-ups at local businesses. So we started doing this Read Local, and we've been in a new business every Wednesday. Sometimes we have 2 going on at one time.
Wow.
Yeah, one in Mayo and one in Live Oak. And it's just amazing how that has happened. And the local businesses are so supportive and open. They love having an event and they love the fact that we advertise that we're going to be at their store.
Mhm.
So it's been a really good experience being there at the library. And they also do book signings, book launches, and they did a one day event where I taught for a full day last June. I did a full day of how to write a novel in a day, it was called. You're not going to write the novel in the day, but I'll go through the whole process in the day. And they gave us a whole day with a room, a large room, and it's free. It's free for us. It's free to attend. And it's a wonderful service to the community. And we have a lot of really good people over there. If you're in the local area in Suwannee County and the other surrounding counties around Suwannee County and the Suwannee River Valley area, this is good, a good place for you to come and join with other authors. I moved here from Arizona a few years ago. And when I was in Arizona, I met not one other writer. I did not find one writing group. There was nothing. It was literally a desert over there, but it was a desert for my writing connections as well. And I found that being here in Live Oak, Florida is just a wonderful place with so many talented people, and they're so nice. They're supportive and kind and giving people. It's wonderful. So join us for sure. Get involved. All you have to do is show up. Just show up at the library the first Friday of the month at 10 o'clock, or go to the Mayo Library any Tuesday at 10, and you'll find us.
Cool. Do you have any hopes or plans to try to bring in more younger writers to your group, encouraging high schoolers and the like?
I don't have a specific plan, but one thing I have really appreciated is at two different occasions, mothers have come to the library meeting, the Writers Inc. at Live Oak with their teenage children.
Mhm.
And one mother dropped off her two daughters to come to the Live Oak meeting so they could get in because they're homeschooling their kids. They can use this as a like an English type class and bring their children in. And it was really wonderful because the young people get a chance to see what writers really do, how we talk, how we think, what we're like. People have these ideas that writers are these eggheads that are sitting in some dark office and poring over their keyboard and never looking up. Well, no, we're regular people. We have things that we love to do besides write, and we have friendships. We love to go out to lunch, I'll tell you that much. And we have fun. And when we go to the writers' conferences and things like that, we enjoy being together. We enjoy talking to each other because creative people have a certain energy, a certain lighthearted energy. And so we love it. We love being together and talking and sharing ideas and that kind of thing. And it's wonderful for the young people to see that, to get into that, that you can actually have real good friendships and have some fun when you're doing this.
Okay. Book banning. I always try to ask at least once about book banning. And have you experienced it either where you were before or where you are now? And what are your thoughts?
I never heard of it, never heard of book banning till I came to Florida.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else does it or not. It just wasn't something that was said. I'm not involved in the schools. I'm a grandmother. I don't have any kids in school or anything like that. So I can't really say anything about it because I don't really know.
Okay. All right. Good enough. And what would be your top three tips for authors, newbies starting out? What should they really do first to get going?
Are you talking about someone who hasn't even written a word yet, ever?
Someone says, I would love to be able to tell stories. What am I supposed to do?
Okay. If you're starting out and you haven't ever written a story, or you're thinking about a movie idea, a plot idea, maybe a movie sparked an idea and you think that would make a good book, or my Uncle Joe did this.
Mhm.
Somebody should write a book. There's a couple of things that you need to think about. First of all, you need to think about what idea are you trying to get across here? Are you trying to show a positive growth point, or are you trying to give a cautionary tale? Don't do this or something bad will happen. But just get clear on it. You can go either direction. That's totally up to you. But get clear on what you're trying to get across, first of all. And then who would play the roles to do the story? Who's going to live out the story? You need someone who has some challenges that they're working through related to that idea that you're trying to get across. For example, and I'm always come back to You've Got Mail because it's got such pristine structure. If you haven't watched that movie recently, go back and watch it. Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, You've Got Mail. Yep. The idea there is that everyone needs their own purpose. The characters in the story, Meg Ryan, she's following in her mother's footsteps with her bookstore. Her challenge is, who am I if I'm not my mother's daughter? What would I want to do if I could do anything I wanted in my life? That's her challenge. Tom Hanks has the same thing. Who am I if I'm not my father's son? Because his father and his grandfather are the ones running the big bookstore. Who would I be if I didn't follow in their footsteps? And so the man and the woman there, but parallel, they have parallel challenges. And then you give them some struggles so they come to grips with the fact they need to have their own purpose in life. And those struggles are very visible. With Meg Ryan, her store gets shut down. She has to close the store. What's she going to do now? And so then she's coming face to face. What is my purpose? What do I want to do? And so that's the kind of thing that you need to be thinking about, where your characters have this situation that's going to let them show this message you're trying to get out, or this idea, or this theme that you're trying to show. And then what would be the situation? Now, for You've Got Mail, it's a bookstore business. That's what it is. But it could be anything. It could be anything at all. It could be some artistic thing where this guy's a painter and he's trying to finish his father's canvas. It could be anything, literally. A man who takes over his dad's farm because his father died. But is this what he really wants to do with his life? There's so many things you could do with that same theme, with that same idea, the same struggles. So where do you want to put your story? What do you know enough about that you could write it in a way that's realistic, that would make sense? And then stick that theme into that setting. Now you've got your characters, you've got your setting. Now, where's the story going to start? And I would make an outline, just a one-page thing. Where's it going to start? What's going to be the middle where things get really bad? How's it going to end up that the good thing happens at the end, or the bad thing happens at the end, whatever it is, the thing that happens at the end. And so you make a list and you get from where you're starting and all the problems and where you want to end up. And then you just look and see, is that working? Is this journey going to work? And then you just start writing. You just start writing. You got to write.
Is this true of all genres?
Yes.
Cool.
All genres, the same thing. So part of your setting is, what kind of story is it going to be? Is it going to be historical? Is it going to be horror, fantasy? Is it going to be romance? What kind of story? And that will affect the setting. That will affect characters. And I would suggest that you write what you love. If you love to watch action movies, then maybe you should write an action book. If you love romance, chick flicks, rom-coms, maybe you should write one of them, because you need to be engaged and love what you're doing. It's a long project. I wrote on my first book for 14 years. Now, you're not probably going to write that long. There's more helps available now than I had back in the day, but it's a long project. And if you don't love it, you'll get tired, put it away. So write what you love, write what lights you up. And then you'll keep coming back to it and you'll actually get it done. But get help. Get help. It's not a DIY project.
Good advice. Very good. Most people don't touch on that. So that's really good advice. And as a writer, what is the one thing that you really love about writing, and what do you really hate? So opposite ends.
I'll start with what I hate first.
Okay.
I really don't enjoy first drafts. First drafts have to happen because we're not going to get to second draft until first draft is done. But that process, I've got my outline. I know where I'm going. Now, sometimes people don't want an outline. They just want to start writing, and that's okay. But I always like to know where I'm headed. But sitting there and just coming up with, what does the place look like, and what does the person look like, and how do they act when they talk? Do they wave their hands? Do they move a certain way? What do they think about the other people in the scene? Do they like them? Do they not like them? All of these different things. I call it six plates are spinning at once. And even though I've written 45, I still don't like first drafts because it is a brain game. You have to really be focused and intent to get all of this together. And it is taxing, not only in your mind, but I get really tired. I get exhausted. And I write in writing binges, which means that I will write for 48, 72 hours. I'll fall into bed every 6, 8 hours. I'll fall into bed for a while. Then I'll get up and go again. And I work around the clock. And when I get exhausted, I fall into bed and sleep for a little bit. And then I get back up because I want to stay in the story. It's in my head. It needs to get on the page. But it's not an easy process for me. Some people can sit down and dash off tons and tons of pages. If I get 10 pages written, I feel like I've done a day's work. Yeah, that is not enjoyable, but I do love the second draft and the third draft. I love working with the words. And once they're on paper, see, I can tinker. And so I can get where I want to go, but I have to do the first draft first. Yeah.
Okay. And the best thing about being a writer?
Connecting with people. I love connecting with my readers. I love connecting with other people. When I'm writing, I'm thinking about the reader. The reader is top on my mind. Someone out there needs this story. They need to hear the message. They need to connect with the characters in the book. And I bring my heart into it because I want my books to be entertaining and interesting. I want them to be books that you cannot put down, even if it's 4 o'clock in the morning. But I also want them to matter. I want them to be meaningful. And so that is my favorite thing. When people were writing all that fan mail back in the day, and they said, "You touched my heart," I felt courage for my situation because of this book. That was what fueled me to keep on going. I wrote a lot of books in a short amount of time, and the readers was what kept me going and keeps me going to this day. And then I also love connecting with other writers. So it's really the people connections. And that's so funny because I live a very isolated life. I don't go out a lot. I write a lot. I'm alone a lot, but I do love the interactions that I do have with my readers and other writers.
All right, Miss Lana, thank you so much for being a part of Jolene's Books and Writer Talk. And I wish you luck on your next book and keep us informed. We want to thank all the viewers out there and listeners to Jolene's Books and Writers Talk, sponsored by Southern Dragon Publishing. If you would like to be a guest on our podcast, you are welcome to visit thesoutherndragon.com website. There is a link. Fill out the online application, schedule your Zoom session, and we will get you taken care of as quickly as possible. Have a great day.